I'm a bitch with a dick and I'll bleed on your tits.
Exactly what the Supreme Court case means for trans people in the UK.
Can't wait for an American to tell me what the slight change in UK law means for my life.
For Women Scotland, this feminist group fighting for equal rights for women, right? Campaigned to get protections taken away from trans women, right? Trans women are not men.
Campaigned against trans women. They don't see you as a woman because they see women as female.
One of their co-founders, beloved by Rowling, was Magdalene Burns, famous for tweets like this.
If one tweet is enough for you to shame this dead person to infinitum, then something's fucking gone wrong here. This is like ultimate cancel culture. Because this person isn't alive to defend themselves. 4 years ago, you've been talking about her for 4 years, if not longer. And you wonder, you're literally part of the fucking issue.
I'm not trained to diagnose people with narcissism.
Then stop doing it. Stop psychoanalyzing people.
Why am I dancing with that trans person?
We've got how J.K. Rowling planned the UK Supreme Court decision on trans rights. I'm not aware she planned it. I'm aware that she gave some money towards the court case. But I mean, I agree with the court case because it was about like diversity hiring, where you can hire men instead of women because they call themselves women. And it's like, well, women, like hiring women is potentially seen as risky because of the fact they might get pregnant one day, gonna need a lot of time off, paid leave, etc., 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 maternity leave. Trans women aren't gonna need that. So that's potentially an advantage for like the males when the whole point is meant to be that it's to uplift females, you know? But yeah, Samantha Lux. I occasionally say that she's one of the slightly more sane, larger TRA creators, but I don't even know how true that is anymore, to be honest. I don't know how true. I'm gonna consider something like that after this. Let's have a look.
Do you remember the first time you heard the name J.K. Rowling? I was still in elementary school and all of my friends, all girls at the time, would always boast about how much of the latest Harry Potter book they were able to get through that week. I remember
Yes, this person presumably was a gay male that transitioned.
being in 8th grade and finally opening the first of the series, and admittedly I couldn't really get into it, but I do remember that I borrowed it from a girlfriend of mine who I really admired at the time. You know, this was way before I discovered my transness or my sexuality.
Yeah, Brad covered this. Fun story. Brad Palumbo messaged me about 3 or 4 days ago on X, asking me about like crazy trans people that have been talking about the ruling. I mentioned that I think Sam Lux had done something. Jammy Dodger. He didn't talk about Jammy Dodger, I don't think, which is a shame. I would like to manipulate more people into talking about that motherfucker because he gets a free pass all the time and it's annoying. I think I mentioned Monty as well because, again, I would like to see more people like bringing that person down a peg or two because they lie constantly.
But the one thing that I did know was that I desperately wanted to be like the girls that I was friends with. And for a long time, the Harry Potter series was one of the ways that I connected with them. Despite not really being able to get into the books that much, I did fall in love with the movies.
Oh, so you like them because your friends like them. Okay.
Always gravitated towards media that gave me that sense of escapism, and the story of a child who felt unheard and unseen, finally finding a place that celebrated them, was deeply comforting. Eventually, I transitioned and was able to find people and community in real life, but I did still always like going back to the movies for, you know, the good vibes and stuff. That was until this happened. People who menstruate. There used to be a word for those people.
What's actually wrong with this? Is it not fair enough to be a woman and to see this like weird, like gender neutral language and to think, well, it's a thing that females do. Can't we just say it's like women? Can't we just talk about women menstruating? Why do we have to change everything round like this? I don't see a problem with this. This got so fucking overblown.
Word for those people. Wumband, wimpund, woomud. She said, if
sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the reality of women globally is erased. Well, I mean, a certain part of their experience is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. What is wrong with that? I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, how are you going to call this transphobic? And like, how are we going to say that there hasn't been an effort to erase the concept of sex when we're talking about people who menstruate, when we're talking about chest feeders, and this kind of language is used by the fucking NHS and like the Lech League or whatever that was like kicking women out who weren't okay with like Trilk and stuff like that. Like, what's wrong with any of this? This is what she was getting like cancelled over originally. It's actually pathetic. Like, this is how This is how completely fucking unable we are to disagree whatsoever. Like, sex is real. That was her original point. Of course, it got more and more, like, out there. It got more and more extreme. The more and more, like, fucking death threats and, like, rape threats this person got. Like, no fucking shit. If a group was, like, subjecting me to that, it would make me, like, radicalize against them too. Because you see the absolute worst of those people. Like, that's just to be expected. The trans community, like the trans activist types, took such a fucking massive L with J.K. Rowling. They completely fucked this up. They should have been leaving her alone from the start. Yeah, that one Lecture League lady that was like 85 years old that stepped down. She said men can't lactate. Yeah, exactly. And like, why do we need men to lactate? Why do we need men to be able to do all the same shit that women can do? To the point where we get weird as fuck videos from people like Poppy and Xena talking about how like womb transplants are maybe 20 years away, guys. Folks, you can get a womb transplanted as long as you got puberty blockers because your pelvis is going to be way too narrow otherwise. Like, can you imagine what's going to happen? Like, the first time, if this ever happens, the first time like a baby is born from like a male body, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what kind of effects that would have on it? That's like some sick fucking human medical experiment shit. That's like Nazi Germany level shit. Weird.
Sex isn't real. The lived reality of women globally is erased. It isn't hate.
I haven't followed all the JK stuff, but it feels like now she doesn't care and wants to wind people up. Well, yeah, like I said, I think they're being subjected to like the kind of harassment she has for originally saying things like sex is real. Like, yeah, it's going to make anyone go a bit crazy potentially. But so many people just lack that kind of ability to see the world from another perspective. So I don't know.
To speak the truth. And speak her truth she has. For the last 6 years, she's been speaking her truth very, very loudly, tweet after tweet, essays, and even...
There are no trans kids. No child is born in the wrong body. That's correct. No one is born in the wrong body. What does it even mean to say that you're born in the wrong body? Are only adults like you prepared to sacrifice the health of minors to bolster your belief in an ideology that will end up wreaking more harm than lobotomies and false memory syndrome combined? I mean, I can see why people don't find this very persuasive. I mean, again, there's no date on this. I don't know when this was, so... Got trans woman turf, her own like thumbnails. Can't read what this is.
Books that had themes of, men in dresses.
Oh, who cares about this fucking book, bro? Who actually cares? It wasn't even a trans person. It was like a transvestite or something. And there was that ridiculous argument, like on Piers Morgan. Who was it? It was Rose of Dawn, George Galloway, Piers Morgan, and then this guy called Benjamin Butterworth, who had not read the book and was like trying to call it transphobic. Hadn't even fucking read it. It's like, well, you're the one making the equivocation between a fictional character who's a transvestite who murders people and trans people. So who's the transphobe there?
Bad until finally this happened.
It was an unanimous decision between the 5 judges that in the case of the Equality Act, the 2010 Equality Act, when it refers to woman or sex, it is referring to biological sex, not somebody who has a gender recognition certificate.
In response to this, J.K. Rowling tweeted, "I love it when a plan comes
Oh, it just slaps. It just goes so hard.
together."
J.K. Rowling is so cool.
What plan exactly is she talking about?
Well, the plan to bring back sex into fucking law and language, I would imagine.
What was her role in this decision? For today's video, we'll be talking about how and why...
I'm going to guess this is going to be cited as if this is like crazy, like undercover information that no one's supposed to know. When it's public knowledge that she gave like £70,000 to this court case. We all know. She's like literally taking credit, lighting a cigar, posing, taking credit. Like, Jesus Christ. Never forget that Samantha Lux sided with the WeSpar guy before he got exposed as a repeat offender. Jesus Christ. I think I saw something. I can't remember very well, but it doesn't surprise me.
Rowling has become the way she has become, exactly what the Supreme Court case means for trans people in the UK and everywhere, and what part exactly J.K.
Yeah, I can't wait for an American to tell me what the slight change in UK law means for my life. I can't wait for an American person to do that for me.
Rowling has played in all this. If you're new here, my name is Samantha Lux. I post new videos every single week here on my channel. So if you guys are not yet subscribed and you would like to be, go ahead and do that right now. I want to say a quick thank you to today's sponsor, Ground News.
Thank fuck she hasn't got nails on, sorry. She can't do the fucking... I hate that shit.
But yeah, other than that, let's get into it. Like I said, I definitely do want to get into the Supreme Court case and what it means for trans people.
Trans women are never beating the allegations. They're just men who can't take rejection from women. I mean, it's not fair to like generalize trans women as that. There's also trans women out there that are not kind of helping the image, so.
So we will get into that shortly, but first, let's rewind, shall we? It's no secret that Rowling spends most of her time and most of her public presence talking about her beliefs on trans people, but it hasn't always been this way. At least, it hasn't always been this bad. In her first tweets, Rowling is trying to position herself as a feminist, fighting for women's rights, writing in her 2020 essay.
Trying to position herself as a feminist. Well, I mean, she's a feminist and is speaking as one.
Originally titled Turf Wars.
Not an attempt to garner sympathy. I have solidarity with the huge number of women who have had histories like mine. Yeah, none of these people ever talk about why some women are unhappy sharing certain spaces with male people.
I'm mentioning these things now, not in an...
And like these people, like, she's literally gonna be like, oh, she started out somewhat reasonable and then got worse and worse. Why did she get worse? Because these people that have been lambasting her for years are fucking nuts. Yeah, that would drive me insane too. It would drive most people insane. Like, I don't know, bro. Ground News, not a scam. I've heard things about Ground News. I need to look into it at some point. There was like a video about it, I know. I never saw it.
An attempt to garner sympathy, but out of solidarity with the huge numbers of women who have histories like mine, who have been slurred as bigots for...
Yeah, bearing in mind, J.K. Rowling has been like domestically, I think possibly sexually abused, you know? Are we really going to say that we can't like understand why some of them don't want to be in closed spaces with like males, where they're having to pull their pants down and like do whatever or get changed?
For having concerns around single-sex spaces. It's quite clear that Rowling, even then, had some problematic ideas, but the tweets that...
Problematic idea? What? What are you talking about?
Then were definitely much tamer than they are now, right? Back then, she mentioned her...
A large amount of trans women are simply creepy men who are trying to get around being told no by women. I don't think a large amount is fair either. Like, we gotta remember, the average man is not like violent or a criminal. I don't think the average trans woman is either. I think a lot of them have been radicalized and have turned into fucking zombies. But I don't think I'd say the average one is like a creep. There's definitely ones out there. What I normally try and frame it as is that there's like certain things that males are way more likely to do than females, including things like sexual assault. And that goes for trans women as well, because there's a male pattern, a female pattern, and there's like stats to back that kind of stuff up. But that doesn't mean I think the average man or the average trans person is like aggressive or a creep or a sexual assaulter, you know?
Familiarity with and her knowledge of trans people and even her love for trans people. Even in her infamous essay titled Turf Wars, we'll talk about turfs in a little bit too. She even mentions feeling kinship with trans women due to our shared experiences and our shared battles dealing with domestic violence. But now when you log onto her Twitter, it's much different, right? She refers to...
Yeah, why? Because she's been driven up the fucking wall. Because she's been told to fucking go kill herself. Ad nauseum for like years. See the trans woman who worked in a rape crisis center. When women complained about it, the trans women said, rape victims can be bigots too. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that someone would say that. Like, we're so obsessed with bigot shaming people. We've like lost our own humanity in the process, it feels.
To trans women simply as men. She refers to trans men as trans-identified women, neither of which lends any sort of understanding or respect to the lived experiences that she claimed to understand.
What does that even mean? Lived experiences? You're male. You don't know what a lived experience for a woman is because you don't have that. You have the experience of being regarded as a woman, sure, but that's not the same thing. I think it'd be quite insulting to women, I would have thought, to say that it's the same thing.
In respect. At this point, is there in my mouth? Sorry. Joanne did it. I know she did. At this point, Joanne's rhetoric and the frequency at which she's been talking about her positions on trans people they've gotten crazy. That's all I have to say. They've gotten a little bit crazy. Okay.
I mean, bearing in mind she's not known as Joanne, like, anywhere. Is it respectful that you're calling her that? So do you get to complain about her lacking respect? What, for referring to people by sex terms rather than their preferred gender? Isn't that her right?
Okay, a little crazy. Well, actually, it's not just crazy. It's become obsessive to the point where her name is no longer really known for writing Harry Potter, which it used to.
This is going to be completely fucking one-sided. I wonder, where did I find? There was like a bunch of collages of like death threats and rape threats and all that kind of shit. The problem is, when you try and look up things, you get all the stuff complaining about the other side. Like, something's up with Google, I swear to God. ContraPoint. Yeah, I think ContraPoint is probably the one to blame for that. It just seems odd. I don't know how some of these people can talk about respect when they clearly lack it for anyone else. Yeah, this is the problem. When you look up this kind of thing, you get all this stuff about stuff happening in reverse. Oh, people are mean to trans people on the internet. Yeah, that's true. They probably shouldn't be. But then it's happened the other way too, and no one seems to want to know. Like, I just want people to be honest.
To be, but rather for her stances on trans people. Like, if she's not out writing the 50th installment of her male pseudonyms book series, she can be found on X, taunting your local trans activist to her 14 million followers. Just to.
Why are these people always using India Willoughby? As if India Willoughby isn't the most insane person on the planet at this
book
point.
Series, she can be found on X, taunting.
Fairly confident I'd pass a cheek swab test. India Willoughby, this person is male. How the fuck are you gonna... But these people show this shit. They never look at the original tweet and think, is there a problem there? Is this not a bit retarded? Is this not a bit dishonest? It's so crazy, man. They always use India Willoughby, and it's always the dumbest fucking shit. And it's not like India Willoughby hasn't given back as good as they've gotten.
Your local trans activist to her 14.
Like, if you go on India Willoughby's Twitter, I'm pretty sure at the top it still mentions J.K. Rowling. I'm pretty sure she still mentions J.K. Rowling every fucking third tweet or some shit.
Million followers. Just to really paint the picture, Rowling's radicalization has gotten so bad that even the people from the original.
Why did it happen? Why did she get radicalized? What might have had a hand in it? Are we gonna be in any way honest? I thought India was satire for a long time. Jesus, I'm not surprised. India is insane and bullies women constantly. Yeah. India Willoughby is nuts. Yeah, what she said was insane. Exactly. This person is delusional. They open videos that they take of themselves in their car on X. Hi, real woman here. Like, you're a real woman how exactly? Americans think Willoughby is some kind of trans spokesperson in the UK. I mean, India Willoughby thinks India Willoughby is some kind of trans spokesperson. They kind of are, really.
Harry Potter series that made them famous, that made her famous, have spoken out against her. Daniel Radcliffe, the star of Harry Potter.
Yeah, so what?
Worked with her for probably like over a decade, said transgender women are women.
Yeah, that means nothing though. He doesn't say anything like erases the identity and dignity of transgender people. We can't square the fucking circle. J.K. Rowling was saying initially about how the removal of the word women in favor of people, so that we're not offending the 3 trans men, that have ever gotten pregnant. And that's erasure. And now you're saying this back to her? So do you agree with her point then? Do you think that maybe the erasure from sex from language and law is a bad thing? Like, he disagrees. Like, who cares? This isn't a meaningful disagreement. You're just saying transgender women are women. What does that mean? What's a woman to you then?
Any statement to the contrary erases the identity and dignity of transgender people.
Like, this guy does not have any authority, and it's hilarious. People will say, Samantha Lux herself, I'm pretty sure, commented on that fucking Brianna Wu Marcy Bowers debate, complaining that Brianna's not a fucking medical expert, so it wasn't fair or some shit. But then you'll just let an actor fucking... like, he's an authority. Wow. Why? Because he was in Harry Potter? Like, so what? That doesn't mean that he has any authority to say transgender women are women.
And goes against all advice given by professional healthcare associations who have far more expertise on this subject than either Joe or I. I love him calling her Joe. I love that. Can I do that too?
Why?
Joanne. Emma Watson, who played Hermione. Ron, no, don't do it, Ron. I love Hermione. Sorry. She said trans people are who they say they are and deserve to live their lives.
Okay, everyone's who they say they are. Okay, amazing. You're an actual wizard in an actual school. I'm a mule deer.
Without being constantly questioned.
Oh, they donated to mermaids. Disgusting.
Or to respect you, despite other writers in the field saying...
Yeah, it doesn't matter that the actors in Harry Potter disagreed with her. That's got nothing to do with anything. They are just 2 more people.
That she's a little cuckoo. she never backed down. I think one of the worst.
Yeah, why has that happened? This is actually insufferable. Are you going to acknowledge the other side of this? Let's say people tell you to kill yourself and get raped for 5 years straight. Would that radicalize you against that group of people? Can you imagine that happening to someone else?
Worst parts about Joanne's platforms is the fact that she tries to frame herself and her goals as feminist.
Also, I love it. Like, this is about the UK Supreme Court, which is bitching about J.K. Rowling. Okay.
This type of feminism, or gender critical feminism, the kind that explicitly.
Oh, a man, a male person saying feminism. Like, are you a feminist? By what measure? Oh, this is painful.
Excludes trans women. So if you've heard the term TERF, this is the type of feminism that that word is referring to. Trans exclusion.
I love it. They complain about exclusion when the idea of females and males having differences is being erased from fucking everywhere. Well, until recently. I guess it's coming back because we're seeing sense. But they're fine with that, so that's not an issue. It's hypocrisy.
Radical feminism.
You benefit from erasing sex from language. You don't benefit from the opposite. So you're going to legitimize it one way and not the other. You picked a side. You fell on one side of the fence. You're one of the more leading people in a thought cult. Well done.
In my opinion, it is nothing more than a guise to hide their anti-trans stances behind, and I'll show you why I think that. I mean,
they went after J.K. Rowling's kids. Listen, if I can find... The problem is, whenever I Google this shit, I don't know where I'd find it. We get all these disgusting articles from like advocate.com, which is disgusting, by the way. It's like you look up harassment. It's like, oh, people have been harassed because J.K. Rowling said this instead of the other way around. It happens both ways, sure. But why not show both sides instead of just one all the time? Like this obsession. This like obsession that people have had with like shitting on her. Like 5 years now. All it's doing is making things worse. Oh, hi, Nick Grimes. Yes, this horrible video.
And I'll mention the founder of one of Joanne's favorite feminist groups.
Daniel Radcliffe is a nepo who only got his role because his father's connections and hasn't done anything else noteworthy. Fair enough. I don't know what I saw him in extras. That's the main thing I remember seeing him in. Because I didn't really like Harry Potter. I saw 2 of the movies and they didn't do it for me.
In a second, but when you break down their positions and their beliefs, they actually fall much more neatly on the side of conservatism. Conservatism. It's much more conservative than it is left-leaning, okay? It's much more
Wait, she's a conservative because of her gender? Like, how does that fucking work?
Conservative than it is feminist. But because of the way that media is distributed...
Oh, you're not gonna explain. You're just gonna keep going. She's a conservative. Okay. Why is it that she wouldn't endorse either Tories or Reform in this country last year when there was an election? Why didn't she endorse either of those 2 parties? The 2 conservative options in the UK, even though they both had very agreeable stances on gender identity to her. She still wouldn't go with those people. She'd rather endorse the fucking Communist Party. But she's a conservative? You're taking like one view she has and blowing it out. Most people are not fucking single issue voters, believe it or not. Having one opinion in isolation doesn't actually really say anything about where you are.
And so effortfully framed, and because of the use of algorithms that are engineered to keep us engaged through exploitative headlines, it can make it really hard to identify that this is just trans exclusion. And this media...
Yes, exploitative headlines. Now do advocate.com. Now do Pink News. Now do Erin in the Morning.
Bias is not a problem exclusive to the trans situation, the trans conversation, right? So without the tools to really break down where these stories are coming from, it's really easy to be swept up in misinformation, problematic rhetoric, and manipulative algorithms, which is why I personally love using...
Yeah, so she called J.K. Rowling a conservative as a means to segue into the fucking ground news segment. I always want to see this, because like, whenever it's these kind of people, they treat the bias thing like it's a left to right is like how correct, how incorrect kind of thing, which is crazy. Sam is a moron, yeah, a little bit.
Using Ground News. Ground News is a website and app that gathers related articles about a story from all over the world and puts them in one place with information about the source's political leaning, factuality, and ownership, so you can quickly compare the coverage, read the entire story, and make up your mind for yourself. When we look up the Supreme Court ruling on Ground News, we can see that they've collected almost 400 different articles. That allows us to really easily compare these stories and compare these headlines and see where this manipulative framing is present. We can see the daily...
You see, they never use this for what it was intended for.
Wire posted an article about this story titled, UK Supreme Court rules trans-identifying men are not women. We can see that they not only have a mixed factuality rating, but also we can see their political bias based on an average rating of 3 independent news monitoring organizations. It also allows us to see.
Yeah, now show us some left leaning bias and why that's also bad. Oh wait, you're not going to. Also, please fix your hair. Oh my god. It's like one little bit is like really irritating me.
That Rowling is using the same exact language as these right-wing media sources, using the terms trans-identified woman and trans-identified man instead of just trans man and trans woman. We can compare it to this article.
Yeah, language policing. No one cares. Stop policing how people refer to trans people. It's over. You can't compel speech.
Article from Zeit Online in Germany, which is a left-leaning source with a high factuality ranking, and they titled their article, British Court Dismisses Trans Women's Rights. Both stories may have similar information, but the framing...
Yeah, so basically, one of them frames it in a way that's flattering to me. Another one frames it in a way that's not flattering to me. These fucking people, their ground news things, they always completely miss the point of what this thing claims itself to be about. It's so crazy.
Is quite different. One focuses on delegitimizing trans people's identities, and the other focuses on...
Yeah, they're not focusing on delegitimizing trans identities. What are you talking about? They just use different terms for the same thing.
On the facts of the case and empathy for those impacted.
And why are you owed your identity being legitimized? How do I know that your identity is legitimate? Your identity can be fucking anything. There are people with like delusional disorders. Are their identities still infallible?
News also provides something called the blind spot feed. It compiles a list of stories that are lacking in coverage from either the left or from the right and feeds them to the other side. It helps make sure that information is not lost due to these manipulative algorithms or media conglomerates trying to push a message. Right now, Ground News is offering 40% off of their unlimited access Vantage plan, meaning it'll bring the price down to just $5 a month. You can scan the QR code or you can visit the link in my description, groundnews.com.
Listen, I thought this was a cool idea when I first saw it, but I'm not a retard. I know how to pass bias in fucking media. Like, I don't need this kind of thing myself.
.com/Lux. If you no longer want to be tricked by manipulative news publishers or just want a better understanding of the stories that are out there or just want to support the channel by checking out Ground News, now's the time. Click below or scan the little QR code. Thank you so much, Ground News.
Yeah, don't think for yourself. Don't learn a little bit about how to read media. Instead, just pay a bunch of money to someone to tell you how to do it and hope that they're being honest with you and hope they're not trying to feed you anything in particular or trying to lead you down a certain path, because you never really know and you can never really trust anyone anymore.
For sponsoring today's video, and now let's continue. Now, Rowling's radicalization really reminds me of another phenomenon that we've talked about here on my channel, which I like to call terminal trans...
Okay, we're 9 minutes in. We're still talking about J.K. Rowling becoming radicalized. We still have not mentioned the kind of harassment she received.
Transphobia. I like to describe it as a tendency for people who have been criticized for their takes against trans people to go on to become even more radicalized against the community and even pursue careers speaking out against trans people. It becomes an obsession, truthfully. Like, why are you so obsessed with me? When I want to know. That was kind of good. Admit it. In all seriousness, a famous example of this is Jordan Peterson. Once a widely cited psychologist and author, he started his anti-trans positioning in 2016 when he spoke out against gender-neutral pronouns and political correctness within higher education. All because he refused to use one of his own students' preferred pronouns. And I don't even like the term preferred pronouns, so just...
Yeah, I'm being reminded. Listen. There was some trans activists that showed up to like a fucking home and like took pictures. If what Sniper Wolf did to some other person is like doxing, then how isn't this? Like, they're not gonna show the picture, which is probably a good thing. But I remember this. I saw the picture. I remember this happening. Like these fucking protesters showing up to a house. I think people's houses are off limits. I think it's nuts. Got another thing, like India Willoughby reporting her to the police, like reporting to the police for misgendering, like utterly retarded. Like what, because you call him a male? Well, he is a male person. Who fucking cares?
The most accurate pronouns. Like it's not my preferred pronoun, like I'm just she, her. That's just what it is.
I don't believe that other people have the right to determine what language I use, especially when it's backed by punitive legislation. And when the words that are being required are artificial constructions of people I regard as radical ideologues whose viewpoint I do not share.
He published tweets that accused Elliot Page's doctors of criminal medical behavior for providing gender-affirming care. Well, no. He actually said, remember when Ellen Page had her breasts removed?
Who cares, bro? It's just language policing. Oh my god, someone called Ellen Page a woman. Who fucking cares, man? Whether you think that person's a man or a woman depends on like your framing, depends on your belief system. With most belief systems, you can coexist. You can be an atheist, you can have a friend who's a Christian, and you can be fine. Jordan Peterson wasn't objecting to trans people, but compelled language as a threat to the free expression. He was correct. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not a big Jordan Peterson fan, but it seems pretty clear. He was going on about that law in Canada. I can't remember what it was called. Like, the free speech thing was very much his thing, you know what I mean? I just think Sam was just bitter that he got bottom surgery at 19 and regrets it. I mean, I have no idea if that's true. I'd have to see evidence. Now, to top it off, no one is buying the trans woman a woman anymore, so his suffering was for nothing. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I guess we're speculating. You'd think it's like a gay guy. Maybe it's not the most. I mean, it's definitely not very lucrative getting bottom surgery as a trans woman. It's not how you make money on the internet. I'm in the same boat. Listen, I got surgery years ago. I'm in the same boat. I can't sexualize myself and make money that way. But I don't want to, so. J.K. Rowling reveals death threats over transgender row. Received a flood of death threats as she slammed 3 transgender activists who posted her home address on Twitter. So many death threats I could paper the house with them. Yeah, this is why I could make a video about how J.K. Rowling got, like, radicalized so much. It would take, like, 30 seconds. Well, it's because of shit like this. So many death threats I could paper the house with them. Oh, but because it's J.K. Rowling saying this, I'm supposed to think she's lying. No, I believe both sides. I don't think she personally really harasses people. She claps back at people sometimes. You get fucking retards who will at her every single day over and over and over again with all kinds of bullshit and all kinds of abuse. People like Sophie Molly or the pissed off lawyer. And then she responds once. And yeah, like some of her dipshit fans that see it go and harass those people. And that's not okay either. I understand that perfectly well. But how are we going to pretend that this shit is not happening? How are we going to pretend that no one on the trans side is doing this kind of shit? It's insane. I don't know how we need any length of time to explain why J.K. Rowling got radicalized. It's because of shit like this. It's because people fucking hounded her non-stop for fucking 5 years. Obviously. Jesus fucking Christ.
By a criminal physician, and even called the Ottawa City Councillor who uses they them pronouns an appalling, self-righteous, moralizing.
Yeah, who cares what pronouns these people use? Again, language policing. No one wants it anymore. Compelled speech. No one wants it anymore.
Thing. It's a mixed thing to you, girl. It's a mixed thing to you, punk. He crashed out. Basically, he crashed out hard, so hard that he
crashed out.
He even called the Ottawa City Councillor who uses they them pronouns an appalling, self.
Yeah, why? What's this link to? Are you going to show it? Are you going to show what his actual problem with this person is?
Self-righteous, moralizing thing.
Yeah, why did he call them that? Why did he call her that? We never say. This person is fucking sponsored by Ground News. That's fucking hilarious. Because the bias is, like, palpable.
It's a mixed thing to you, girl. It's a mixed thing to you, punk. He crashed out. Basically, he crashed out hard. So hard that the university...
Yeah, mix isn't actually a thing. It's Mr., Miss, Ms. No one cares about mix or mux or whatever the fuck it is.
Worked at required him to pay for and complete a social media training, claiming that his tweets were not only potentially harmful, but that they also...
Re-education. That sounds dodgy to me, man. A social media course?
Required him to pay for and complete a social media training.
That's weird, man. That's weird. He had to go through re-education? That's what that sounds like to me. Fuck that shit. Like, what kind of fucking... I guess it's Canada, but like, Jesus Christ.
Claiming that his tweets were not only potentially harmful...
Jeez, I wonder why he ended up not changing his mind after being like fucking re-educated. All the kind of shit I presume he like rails against. I'm not super well versed in like Jordan Peterson. The most I remember is that it was very correct, warning H3H3 about following progressivism to its logical end.
Harmful, but that they also could degrade his profession, and that they even raised concerns about his abilities as a psychologist. Which, I mean, like, yeah, no, obviously it does. The field of psychology is quite set on the fact that affirming a trans person's identity is integral for their overall happiness. So to claim that you're an amazing psychologist and then go against the evidence that shows that affirming a trans person's identity helps them, I don't know, I just don't think that's a good psychologist. Or even as a professor at the university, it says he retired from teaching due to DEI taking over and his persona non grata.
How come this person is an expert who can tell someone who a good psychologist is or isn't?
A reputation at the school, despite initially agreeing to complete the training, and he even stated...
Like, my understanding was, like, as a psychologist, he has a decent reputation, and it's usually other stuff that people divert with him on.
that he was likely to lose his license as a psychologist for the things that he was saying about trans people and things about other women and other people, but refused to back down. Refused to consider that maybe he was a little wrong, or that maybe he could be causing harm. The very same.
But how was he wrong? He refused to admit he might be wrong. Well, then show how. What was he wrong about?
Same phenomenon is present with Rowling. This growing and insatiable obsession with me, girl. Like,
Okay, so it's okay, nice female stereotype. I've never seen a woman do that shit ever. It's like gay men in drag that do that shit. But this is a gay man in drag. Hang on. It's just guilt by association. Or remember that other bad person, Jordan Peterson? Well, that's who J.K. Rowling is. Like, okay, bro, sure. Affirmation model goes against the first rule of psychology. Rule number 1, do not entertain delusion. Yeah, Jesus. Like, I don't know. If an anorexic person identifies himself as being fat, do we affirm that? Doesn't seem like a great idea. So why is gender so different?
the very same phenomenon is present with Rowling. This growing and insatiable obsession with me, girl. Like, with trans people, it's crazy. Like, I really do think that there must.
She just will not entertain the very, very obvious reason as to why she's got more and more radical on this. It's so fucking obvious. You have to be like brain dead to not understand this shit.
Be like some sort of underlying personality trait or something motivating this. You know, maybe one of the ones that Peterson studied.
Underlying personality trait as opposed to years and years of harassment and death threats and shit like that. What's another one? Listen, it's hard to find evidence. There was this one website that had like so much of this shit collaged, and it was from years ago as well. So you imagine it's like, you know, it's increased tenfold. J.K. Rowling says she's been targeted by trans activists after blasting a pipe bomb death threat from a Twitter user. J.K. Rowling shared a public response to a death threat she received from an internet troll, and now deleted account threatened Rowling with a pipe bomb. This is just like one. Added that hundreds of trans activists have threatened her with violence. Are you listening? You're not listening. You'll never watch any of my shit. That's fine. You wouldn't get it anyway. You're not smart enough. But like, it's so obvious. So fucking obvious. I understand that people perceive her as getting like obsessive. And so seeing her as more of like a transphobic figure and shit like that. So why can't these people understand that this person is radicalized because of the shit that people say about her? Because of this like obsession. How long has Samantha Lux been talking about J.K. Rowling, I wonder? How many videos are there? 1, 2, 3, 4 years ago. You've been talking about her for 4 years, if not longer. And you wonder, you're literally part of the fucking issue. How does this obsession only go one way? Because both of you are presumably saying, oh, it's reactive, I'm reacting to their obsession. Well, you can't have two sides both saying that. That's an impasse. That doesn't work. J.K. Rowling, J.K. Rowling, J.K. Rowling. It's a fair few. I mean, listen, it's not as many as like some people. Like 7 or 8, maybe. But you've still been talking about it for like fucking years. And you still can't see it. You've literally been doing it and you still can't see it. It's bizarre.
Extensively with both Rowling and Peterson, we see a desperate need for them to be right. We see them acting with little to no empathy for trans people, or anyone that disagrees with them for that matter. We see
little to no empathy for people that she perceives as threatening her constantly. TERF is a slur page. Yeah, it might be. Jesus Christ. I've shown it on my stream before, but it was a while ago. Oh, yes. Yes. No, it's this. It is this. Thank you so much, by the way. Fuck me. Yes, it was this. I've shown this before and like read things out here. And it's all really old, so you can only imagine how much is like ramped up since then. Sorry, it's loading really slowly. Like, I don't know. Do I even need to commentate on this video? It's so fucking obvious why this person is radicalized. I'll just press play and scroll down this massive list of people calling her a cunt. More people calling her a cunt. Hasn't been laid in about a decade. Transphobic. How many times? Fuck you, bitch. Layla ACAB. Yeah, okay, bro. Okay, bro. ACAB. Transphobic piece of trash. At JK Rowling, fuck you. How many times they at her? Like, at a certain point, it is harassment. It's actually insane. How can you not see this? Have these people never seen any of this? They probably haven't. That's the worst part. Because this shit kind of gets hidden from these people. Maybe a fucking ground news could show you some of these kinds of things that only one side apparently is talking about. But then I suppose it's not only one side, because actually plenty of these gender critical people aren't even fucking right wing. It's just nuts. JK Rowling can suck a dick. Hashtagging, atting. Yes, this would radicalize me. Doesn't matter what group it was doing it to me. Like, you could make someone racist if you were like a whole group of one race, constantly atting a person like this. And originally what she was saying was sex is real. Like, I didn't used to be down with this kind of shit. But I used to think she was like transphobic and like awful and stuff. When you actually look at what was being said initially, you actually use your fucking brain and acknowledge that trans identity, all this shit, it's like, it's a belief system. You can't sit and say, oh, well, I respect Christianity, I just don't believe in it myself. And then anyone who agrees that sex is real and that a trans woman isn't literally a woman can suck my average size lady dick. Yeah, very, very feminine, bro. Very feminine thing to say. Like, what is this shit? I don't know if, oh, I can't, I really wish I could go through them one at a time and just like do a slideshow, but like, this is crazy. And it goes on and on. This is just, I mean, this is an old website. This is from ages ago. I can't remember when they stopped updating this. Can someone slap JK Rowling in the face? Me generally wanting to slap JK Rowling in the face as a trans man. Someone slap Rowling. Someone slap Rowling. Slap this bitch. Simply slap her. Slap the shit out of transphobic bitch. Want to bitch slap JK Rowling so hard. Yeah, I wonder why this person was radicalized. Samantha Lux used to be a sweet gay male who got bullied for doing makeup online. Trans in her videos blew up. Sad story, man. I'm going to guess that the old stuff was probably removed. I don't know, like... Well, coming out as transgender is like the fourth video.
An inflated sense of self-confidence. We see manipulated communication, an inability to take responsibility for the...
We're like psychoanalyzing her now. Weren't you saying earlier that she's not an expert in this kind of stuff, implied through that Daniel Radcliffe thing? But you'll happily psychoanalyze her instead of just looking at the crazy amount of shit that people have been throwing at her for years. Yes, of course she's radicalized. Choke on cock. Can choke on every trans girl's dick. JK Rowling, choke on this. I'm a bitch with a dick and I'll bleed on your tits. First off, eat shit and die, you turf-ass bastard. I'd 100% punch her in her turf mouth. Shoot the turf. You a turf needs to be stoned. As in, like, not like get stoned, as in, like, have stones thrown at you. Stank pussy energy, coochie bugs. Like, this is just a fraction, you know what I mean? It's, like, utterly fucking cooked. Utterly crazy. I think this is more like generic to like feminists. So we can expand this out. What about other people that have spoken out about this and had all this kind of shit thrown at them? Be subjected to all this shit on Twitter for God knows how long. Doesn't really happen so much on fucking Elon Musk Twitter, I guess. There's other problems there now, but oh my God, Shoe on Head. Turf bull dyke scum. When the fuck was Shoe on Head a bull dyke? I missed that one. Nuts. Crazy. This person has absolutely no idea what they are talking about.
For their actions, arrogance, etc., 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 all of which are criteria or indicators of narcissism. Or at the very least...
Yep, psychoanalyzing. It's perfectly fine to psychoanalyze someone that you don't know anything about. How nice. Anything whatsoever to avoid looking at the evidence and actually understanding the other perspective.
These traits all display a very self-centered personality. I want
Might be a controversial statement. Most of these comments sound male. Men can be super toxic. I mean, women can be fucking toxic as fuck as well. Like the worst like harassment and like bullshit I've gotten from TRA types have generally been like from fucking trans men, to be honest with you. And it hasn't happened very often, to be clear. But I'm like nobody, so why would it? It'll only get worse.
I want to be very careful to not attempt to diagnose or come across as, trying to diagnose these people. I'm not.
You literally just did. You can't just say. You can't just say. This person's a narcissist. Well, I'm not trying to diagnose. Like, fuck off, bro. No one's talking about raping Jordan Peterson. Yeah.
All of which are criteria or indicators of narcissism. Or at the very least, these traits all display a very self-centered personality. I want to be very careful to not attempt to diagnose or come.
You just, bro, you just did. You just did. I hate this fucking tendency these people have to do the thing and then walk back the thing after already doing it. It's so cowardly. Because you know what it means? It means that they want to say that about that person. And so we'll say that about that person and put that idea in people's heads. And then walk it back. Well, I'm not necessarily saying that. Well, you already have, man.
Come across as, trying to diagnose these people. I'm not trained to diagnose people with narcissism. And I also don't think that it's helpful to use.
And stop doing it. Stop psychoanalyzing people. Cut this entire bullshit segment out. And look at the actual reality of the situation.
Medical terms against somebody. Also, these traits can't exist in
Oh my God, even Blair White. Even Blair White.
Who is not a full-blown narcissist. You can have some narcissistic traits without being a full-blown narcissist. However, these are the patterns that I personally have noticed. And this is why I believe situations like JK's involvement in the Supreme Court case happen. Which Joanne, we specifically see manipulative communication.
Yes, we just don't. We just don't know. And we don't want to know.
And exploitation of others. Like her page is full of rhetoric about how her stances are going to protect women and they're going to save women and children. But the truth behind that is that the threat that trans women pose to cisgender women is basically non-existent by any statistical measure. She uses.
I mean, these are literal threats. I don't know about that, bro.
This manipulative framing, right, to make it seem like she's just so great, she's so amazing, she just cares about the safety of women, and that she doesn't hate trans people at all. It's bullshit. The case that she just helped get passed in the UK, the Supreme Court case that we're talking about right now,
is bullshit. I'm not going to explain how. I'm going to move on to the next part.
Actually proves that she does not give a single thing about women's safety, about cisgender women's safety, and is doing all of this, at least in.
Why is it that J.K. Rowling often tweets about like the situations that women face in places like Afghanistan or Iran? Why does she do that if she doesn't care about women's safety?
Part for an ego boost. Okay, but now let's switch gears because I too want to tell you a little bit about the Supreme Court case and what it means for trans people. And then I'll tell you about the role that J.K. Rowling played because I'm still mad. On April 16th, 2025, the United Kingdom Supreme Court ruled.
You're still mad from like fucking 5 years ago when this started. I can tell, bro. You've been talking about it for long enough. You're like literally doing the thing and then closing your eyes. What? I can't see. I don't know. What? Death threats? J.K. Rowling being told to choke on lady dicks? Nope, can't see. I'm blind and deaf. Okay, bro.
Ruled that women, within their context of their 2010 Equality Act, is defined by biological sex and excludes transgender women, even those with a gender recognition certificate. What this means is that places are now able to create single-sex spaces and exclude trans women from those spaces. We've heard this complaint a million times, right? In all different shapes, all different sizes, and all different appearances.
Yeah, I've heard these complaints come from people like you, summing up other people's complaints. I don't tend to hear many of these complaints from other people. When I do, they're not usually the brightest ones, you know what I mean? It's not usually what they're saying.
Appearances, you could say. Trans women shouldn't be allowed into women's bathrooms because they're gonna hurt women.
Yeah, that's not the fucking argument. Like, she literally talks about the experience of her and people like her, i.e. abuse victims. It's the fact that they're traumatized and might struggle with the idea of being around a man, especially alone, in a enclosed space, especially where they might be taking their clothes off to do certain things. Like, it's nuts, man. How do you fucking not understand this? You literally showed a fucking excerpt where she talked about, like, her experience. Like, oh man. Have you this little empathy?
No evidence of that. Trans-identified men shouldn't be allowed.
No evidence of what? Trans women harming women in bathrooms? I guess Katie Dolotowski didn't exist. Oh wait, no, she didn't harm a woman, she harmed a girl. Oh wait, that's worse. Women's spaces, what, like prisons? Karen White sexually assaulted 2 inmates in a women's jail. Speaking of women's spaces, prisons, should I say? Responsible for 2 pregnancies in jail. Who knows how consensual these were? Either way, shouldn't be happening. changing rooms, Target fitting rooms even. Videotaping an 18-year-old girl in a Target fitting room had made videos of women in the past undressing. But it never happens. No evidence. There's no evidence because you've never fucking bothered looking for it. And if someone showed you the evidence, gave it to you on a silver platter, you'd close your eyes and ears. La 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 la, can't hear you, can't see you. So you're full of shit.
Into women's sports because they'll dominate women's sports and no women will win. No evidence of that.
What do you mean no evidence of that? Does she not understand that males have an advantage over females in almost every sport? And why is it that evidence out there, studies and so on, tend to find that HRT does remove your strength advantage some, but not the entire way?
And I even discussed on my channel.
Oh, Veronica Ivy. Yeah, Veronica Ivy is completely nuts. I've seen a few things with that person. Used to be called Rachel McKinnon. Absolutely crazy.
A situation where a group was
Wait.
women's sports and no women will win. No.
Yeah, this doesn't engage with that argument anyway. Oh, there's not very many of them. Okay, so what's to stop one of them doing that? Bearing in mind we know that males have advantage over females.
Evidence of that. And I even discussed on my channel a situation where a group was complaining that
when these people say there's no evidence of something, it means they just don't know and they don't want to know. They want to assume that they don't know, so it must not be true. That's bullshit. That's not an argument. That's stupid.
they were not allowed to exclude trans women from their dating game, their dating show, or whatever the fuck they were doing. Claim.
Yeah. Why would women necessarily want men in their lesbian fucking dating event? Why can't they have anything for themselves? Why can't we have lesbian things where trans people are welcome to and lesbian things where trans people aren't welcome to? What's wrong with that?
Claiming that cisgender lesbians are not interested in trans women and they should be able to, not allow trans women to be there.
Well, not all of them are. Shouldn't they get a choice? Shouldn't they, if they want to have an event where there's not male people there, bearing in mind lesbian is typically a female that dates other females, shouldn't that be their right? Why do we have to be involved in literally everything that women are involved in? Why do we have to be on exactly the same level, in all intents and purposes, as people who are the opposite sex from us? It doesn't make any sense.
And for this one, I actually have a lot of evidence that proves that the opposite is true. Lesbians love me. What all of these have in common is a
Okay, bro.
lack of evidence of potential harm and an underlying motivation of
Lack of evidence. Just don't trust these people. This person has absolutely zero idea why J.K. Rowling has been radicalized. It's so fucking obvious if you think for 2 seconds. Like, absolutely useless.
personal disapproval of trans people. A little bit more about this case and who's behind it, though. It started back in 2022 when 4 Women Scotland, the people who appealed this case and brought it to the Supreme Court, challenged the status of the Gender Presentation on Public Boards Act of 2018, which aimed to increase the proportion of women on public boards. 4 Women Scotland, by the way, is that feminist group that I was talking about earlier that J.K. Rowling loves so much. When this case was passed, she tweeted out saying that they were extraordinary and that she was so proud to know them. To give you a little image of the people who run this organization, one of their co-founders, beloved by Rowling, was Magdalene Burns, famous for tweets like this.
Oh my god, it's going to be the same 5 tweets. If you actually watch Magdalene Burns' content, it's reasonable. One of the tweets was kind of far out. There was another one with the George Soros thing, which people have decided is anti-Semitic. They mention, what is his name? Something Stryker, who apparently isn't even Jewish.
Yes, you are.
It's exactly the same tweet. Everyone uses this one fucking tweet. If one tweet is enough for you to shame this dead person to infinitum, then something's fucking gone wrong here. This is like ultimate cancel culture. Because this person isn't alive to defend themselves. Could you not have gone after anyone else apart from the one that's dead and can't defend herself?
Blackface actors.
Like, this goes too far for me. But it's like one tweet. Does everyone that makes one tweet that goes too far, do they deserve to be like dragged through the mud every single day following their death? Like this? This is crazy to me.
You aren't women. You're men who get sexual kicks from being treated like women. You and your dirty perversions. Our oppression isn't a fetish, you pathetic, sick. Lovely lady. Charming. Do I really have to break down why none of this is true? Do I? Should I? Okay, really quickly. Blackface.
Yeah, tweets like this. That was the one tweet they all use. Was that even like, were there even any more like that? Maybe she was like fucking a bit drunk one evening. I don't know. Like, people pop off sometimes on social media. It's a fairly normal thing. But then once they die, if you can use it against them and use it as some shitty fucking gotcha point. Like, oh, it's disgusting. It's actually vile. Imagine people like using whatever dumb shit Samantha Lux has said over the years against them infinitely when they pass away. I don't know, man. If someone like this passes away, I can't imagine constantly going back. I remember this person who died. Look how stupid they were. You know what I mean? It's not very classy, is it? There's a reply to AGPs who've been harassing it for ages. Yeah, the other thing is they don't mention context. I don't really know the context, but I'm not going around smearing her fucking name when she can't even defend herself. It's a bad tweet, but this reaction is insane. Yeah, I feel the same. I feel the same way. What was it? What was it in response to? What had been preceding that immediately? What mental state was she in when she did it? Have you ever had a bad day? Ah, it's so gross. It's actually vile. I don't know if I can finish this video because it's like nasty. This is like nasty.
This is a performance by white people to make fun of black people. I'm not making fun of women by wearing makeup and like living my life in the most authentic way.
Yeah, but sometimes you do all of this kind of thing and it's like, I don't know, bro. I've never met a woman do that kind of thing. Seems like a gay male kind of thing, but you're insisting you are in fact a woman.
Crazy. She said, you're men who get sexual kicks from being treated like...
It's easy to win an argument against a dead person. Foul. Yep, I agree. Disgusting. That is what I mean. Let's say this person, God forbid, I don't wish this on her. Let me fucking be extremely clear about this. Let's say this person dies tomorrow. Should I then dig through all her back catalogue and point out all the retarded shit she says? Like, why would I do that? I don't get that at all. But you'll find that one tweet that this one person said and harp on it to infinity. Like, that was the only other... Like, we watched that Essence of Thought thing, and it was literally that same tweet, plus a few others talking about George Soros funding something, which apparently makes her a fucking Nazi, racist, anti-Semite. Which is weird, because those kinds of people normally don't give a fuck about anti-Semitism right now, but, you know, whatever.
like women. Oh my God, trans identities are not rooted in sexuality. If a trans person does only think that they're trans when they're in a...
Okay, so why do some trans people transition because they are uncomfortable about the fact they might be gay? That happens. Or do you not believe people's stories when they don't suit you?
Sexual moment, that's not trans. That's not what this is. You're wrong. Anyways, moving on. In the original act...
What is trans to you? Trans is meaningless. I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry to be the one breaking it. It's meaningless.
Gender Presentation on Public Boards Act, trans women were included because it relied on the Equality Act of 2010's definition of a woman. 4 Women Scotland appealed this act multiple times, appealed it through the outer house, appealed it through the inner house, both of which were dismissed. And eventually it was brought to the Supreme Court where this decision was made. Which, let's just really think about this, right? 4 Women Scotland, this feminist group fighting for equal rights for women, right? Campaigned to get protections taken away from trans women, right?
I think it's the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my life. Campaigned against trans women. They don't see you as a woman because they see women as female. It's not difficult. It really is not. How do you have 668k subscribers when you are this utterly stupid? Oh my God. This whole video is so unfactual. At least understand the lawyer talking BS about. Pause this and go check out Brad. Yeah, Brad Palumbo spoke about this. Nice misogyny. Women won, get over it, dude. Oh, I'm so glad. Normally, when I watch this kind of shit, you look down and it's all toadies. It's all sycophants, you know what I mean? People are just as radicalized as this idiot is. Dislike this video. You sure use Ground News? Your opinion's still very biased. Listen. Ground News, like, plenty of the people. Plenty of the people that use those fucking things. Oh my God. Been gravitating towards this quote. First they came for, oh, we got one, we got one, we got one. You don't have to be anti-trans to be pro-biological women. Nope, you don't. Delulu, UK trans man, blah, blah, blah. I'm in a T for T relationship. Wow, you're... No one cares. Put the man in some out, please. Listen, some of this shit is a bit much. I don't know that you have to, like, run over and brigade someone's thing, but then that's what happens. If you make a video about someone else and you have a following, your people are possibly going to run off and say shit to them. Okay, all the older stuff is going to be more sycophantic. Just become a nasty, bitter person over the years. Okay, having just listened to this person use one tweet to utterly besmirch a dead woman who was like a lesbian rights activist. Who like, she literally in videos, I'm pretty sure there's a Magdalene Burns video where she literally talks about like the above average like violence that trans people face, largely because of like, you know, trans people of color that work in like sex work. Is that anti-trans to say? I don't think it is.
This feminist group fighting for equal rights for women, right, campaigned to get protections taken away from trans women, right? The Equality Act is
This is so stupid. You don't understand the people you're talking about.
a non-discrimination act. They tried to get us removed. They did get us removed, but that was their goal.
Yeah, because if the protections don't specify who the fuck they're talking about, then they're kind of meaningless. They don't apply to anyone.
To get us out of a non-discrimination act. If that doesn't tell you the type of people they are, I don't know what will. The single-sex
Mate, you're just telling on yourself. You're just telling on yourself. You can't understand another perspective.
spaces that will be affected because of this ruling include...
You can't understand why someone doesn't think you're a woman. I don't know why you're so obsessed with the label. Like, congratulations on looking like one, I guess. Albeit a fairly plastic one. But like, doesn't make you one. If I look like a dog, I'm not a fucking dog.
women's bathrooms, changing boards, hostels, sports clubs, and even more insidious, hospital wards, prisons, and domestic violence shelters.
Wait, how is it insidious to not allow trans women into women's prisons? Especially when some of them go in there and like assault people, threaten people. Wasn't there something in Minnesota? What was it? There was like some report from MCF Shakopee in Minnesota. Female inmates in Minnesota prison harassed, flash, intimidated by trans-identified male transfers. Whistleblower tells Minnesota House Committee. I did a bit of digging into this. One of the people in there, is it Bradley Servio? This person's literally in there for murder. There's another person in there whose name escapes me. It's something like Sean Windingland or something. Windingland. Literal pedophile. Yeah, this Sean Windingland guy literally sexually assaulted a 6-year-old. Gets moved to a women's prison. Bradley Richard Servio, you're probably not going to be able to see. He's in there for homicide. Has been incarcerated since 1996. According to the Department of Corrections. Does it show? Yeah, you can see at the bottom right where my camera was. Currently at MCF Shakopee, as a women's facility. Like, there's problems here, man. How's that insidious? Yeah, I think a prison should probably be single sex, man. Especially ones women and men in DV shelters. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Doesn't understand trauma. Very, very happy, by the way, to start psychoanalyzing and diagnosing someone like J.K. Rowling with narcissism. Doesn't understand how trauma works. Doesn't understand what the risks are of re-traumatizing someone who has just experienced something, such as sexual assault by a male. You don't know what's going to set them off, so you have to be fucking careful. High five, I hope you're good.
Elders. There is so much evidence that shows that trans people are actually disproportionately the target of domestic violence and domestic assault. So we need these resources.
Yeah, so show some. Have you linked any? No. Okay, so there is evidence, but you don't link any. You don't show any. This is why I show things. This is why I have stuff saved, so I can bring it up. So when people say there's no evidence of men using disguises to enter women's bathrooms to do fucked up shit, that I can show stuff. You have to show stuff. Don't just say, oh, there's evidence. Well, what evidence? Show it. But instead you move on.
As well. But the argument against it is that cis women or natal-born women, whatever you want to call them, have a right to not have a man in their shelter.
Yeah, do you know why? Do you know why? Do you understand trauma in any way, shape, or form? Like, fucking hell. Enough trans people have trauma. You'd think they'd understand it.
In their space. And genuinely, this is simply bullying to bully. Trans women are not men. We are not.
This is like retard level. You're not men. How so? When a man means an adult human male, how are you not a man?
Threats to cisgender women. Firstly, reducing us down to our body parts is not very feminist of you.
Who's saying reducing you to your body parts? What are you talking about? Reducing a man to his body parts isn't very feminist. What does that even mean?
Feminist group. But secondly, trans women should not have to be refused shelter and die in the streets because
Well, there are homeless shelters out there that are not exclusive to women. Do you know that men are disproportionately likely to end up on the streets? I think it's something like twice as many or something. So lots and lots of homeless shelters allow men in because they fucking have to. There's probably the odd one that is for women only because of the risk of like assault. But the thing is, they're female. If we're to say that trans women can start using female facilities, what about other types of males who are at high risk of being like assaulted, like gay men and stuff like that? How come they don't get to run off to the women's? Because they're men, they're male. So what, it comes down to what you call yourself? That doesn't make any sense.
You're uncomfortable with the fact that I'm trans. I'm sorry. Does that make any fucking sense? Life is uncomfortable. If anybody knows that, it's the trans community, okay?
This person is retarded. I can't actually be asked anymore. There we go, Samantha Lux. Whatever she's going to say about the UK Supreme Court decision, I don't fucking want to know. She's fucking batshit insane. I actually live here. I'm trans myself. Have been for a very long time. I'm fine. I'll be fine. I don't care. Jesus fuck. Psychopath. Anyway, listen, just to fill it out slightly. J.K. Rowling is a cunt. Can honestly say the entire Harry Potter franchise is ruined now. I feel so bad for all the trans youth that grew up thinking they were going to get their letter one day to find out J.K. Rowling is a fucking cunt. J.K. Rowling can go fuck herself, transphobic cunt. Fuck you, you transphobe bitch. Hang on. This would work better if I did this. The way I can't even look at I'm a joke Rowling's face anymore without seeing a hag. I replaced my lanyard and my favourite mug because they were Slytherin themed, so now I'm just a mean little asshole and chant J.K. Rowling can suck my trans dick. J.K. Rowling can suck my dick. So anyway, J.K. Rowling can suck my fat cock. J.K. Rowling can suck my big transgender cock. Wait, this is actually a, I don't know why that got in the actual J.K. Rowling tweet, I'm not sure. J.K. Rowling is a slag. Rowling dropped a book and waited a few days. Then she realised no one was paying attention to it. Then she remembered what happened last time she was a TERF on Maine and decided to go in on that. Fuck her. Remember what's really going on. Ignore the desperate attention whore. I doubt you menstruate. I bet you're all dried up down there. Wait, really? OMG buying pineapples for J.K. Rowling, her pussy stinks. J.K. Rowling got stink pussy, I just know it. What gives J.K. Rowling, a cis-het woman, the right to speak on trans and lesbian issues? Stay in your lane, cunt. I want to smack J.K. Rowling around, man. I can't stand her. Ooh, same one, sorry. One sec. Would love to smack J.K. Rowling up the side of the head. Dead hard, stupid bitch. J.K. Rowling is an old fucking hag. J.K. Rowling needs to shut the fuck up. Someone tell this bitch to shut the fuck up. Who the hell asked for her transphobic thoughts at all? But especially during this time. What the fuck is wrong with this lady? A proud day to say I never ever liked Harry Potter, movies or books. You fucking suck, J.K. Rowling. Have I made my point? We understand, right, how this person got radicalized. And these people will continue to pretend that none of this shit ever happened. I'm sorry, man. It's over.